So as mentioned, this is going to be a 2 versus 2, and it is going to go down on a map completely random. So map gen ahoy, let's get our going done up here to get that all underway, and then we'll introduce players. So team 1 at the top, team 2 at the bottom, and going first for team 1 in grey Seraphim, it is Fargo. And he's throwing himself down a first land factory, going to get a bit of adjacency there. Does have a Hydra to pick up as well. As the map itself, well, there's not much in the way of reclaim, only 4,000 across the entire map, so not really much here to help get your eco kick-started. But anyway, Fargo's teammate today is Fleischesser. Yep, as far as my German knows, Fleisch means flesh, and Esser, I don't know, could be eater perhaps, so it could be flesh eater, that's kind of disturbing. Anyway, he can be Fleisch, but he is UEF in blue. Okay, and their opponents today on team number 2. First up, down here we have Nycad, just like the battery. He is UEF as well, and he has been assigned the red color. He's got his face factor up and he's heading off towards the Hydro as you do. And for Nycad's teammate today, we have Lady Lil Eddie Gilo. I'm not supposed to be like Lady Gil or Lil ADG Lil, or I don't know. You know, it's going to be Eddie because that's probably going to be the easiest thing to say. So there we have, folks. That is the introduction of the players today. Sorry, I forgot to mention. Got so focused up on the name, I forgot to say that Eddie is yellow and Cybran. Alright, now some mixes to fight over, although not many in the middle, so I don't expect we'll see a lot of early pushing. The amount of reclaim is minimal to grab. There's, like here, there's not even a T2 mix with a reclaim here. 600 mass is not a huge amount to lose a lot of units over. Most of the mixes are all tapered across the middle here, which is interesting because it gives a lot to this player who can of course expand out this way, and these 4 mixes here should be handed over to the player on this side. Right, so first combat units are out from Nycad. Got a couple of labs making their way forwards. Maybe they will look to pick up an engineer, perhaps one that's heading out to the on their lonesome towards the left, but he's actually got a patrol order, not really going anywhere. So that's how it is. Alright then, so just have a look at the builds, and you can see Nycad is working on some extra build power. Going to step down to another factory there just to get some more up. His commander's still sitting in base, not really moving forward, so definitely yes, LT's in 2v2, that is correct. Having that extra factory down means he's going to get it out, start units out there a lot quicker than his opponents. In fact, he's the first one to get a second factory of all the players, although his teammate is lagging behind a wee bit there. Comp's still sitting in the base, so just wants to try and continue, keep the extra build power back here perhaps. Although there we go, there's a move order. Now starting to walk out towards the front. Up here we can see that Fargo's slipped down a factory, wants to get that double adjacency for both these mass extractors. So he's actually got another one there, and he's worried about an early bomber, I would say. Just throwing down an AA gun because not a bad place to do it actually. You could expect a bomber to come over this way because it's a slightly exposed expansion. But having said that, no bombers out because there's not even an air factory for Mr. Nycad yet. In fact, he got 4 land factories planned. No air at all. His teammate has no air either. We see 2 land factories there. And we see another land factory over there. We don't even have one queued up this way. So land all day for these guys, not a single air factory yet. I say yet because I'm sure they're going to see these scouts and go, oh yeah, maybe we should get there. There we go. So there has been a response from Nycad. He's like, yeah, okay, maybe we'll get some air. And does that seem to need Java? Yes, he has. Definitely needs air. Both the opponents have air. See, Fargo's got an air factory there, and Fleisch has one here as well. Got that adjacency to the Hydro to help with the power issues. Though this one is not adjacent to the Hydro. Interesting. Most people will grab that for the little adjacency bonus, which means it costs less to produce the unit that comes out of it. Right, but that's, as far as the map goes, these are pretty solid little chokeholds. You sort of got 1, 2, middle, 3 and 4. You could split this potentially, but it's a bit of a plateau, so anything trying to squeeze through this little valley could get fired on from the top up here, and it won't be a grand odd time for those fellas. Alright, first bit of action is actually coming over this way. A lab has managed to find its way into an exposed mass extractor. Nothing defending us. Engineers are a little bit too far away. There is a... oh, it's a scout. They can't do anything, and this max extractor is going to die to this little mech marine. Having a time of his life just wailing upon that. Go. Gonna make a good move in a second now. Hop. Good boy. Cool, and most way, but okay, there's been a counter push on the left hand side, so one lab versus all of this. However, I did see a bomber floating around. There it is, bomber's all the way down here. It has been spotted by some anti-air though, and it's not going to get anything done. Maybe it was hoping to pick up some of these engineers, would have been great, but 0 kills on that. I believe I saw it just before it died. And our second mass extractor is under threat from this raiding party here from NICAD. So NICAD doing some good work on the left hand side, pushing right on up with those units, and could be quite an annoyance. If you can swing these past and get into the back, you could do some damage over this way, but they don't have any anti-air. It's all tanks, labs and scouts. So things like these two bombers are going to cause mayhem with them. In fact, they're going exactly over there as I say that. And these units are probably not going to get a lot more done. They'll kill another engineer because he's like, oh, whoa, what? And he's not living his best life right now because he has no life at all. Fella. Bombers are going to say good day, and here we go. First two bombs are out, kills a lab and a scout, and they're basically just going to clean these up now. They won't get a lot more done. No, still no air. In fact, there's the first scout out from NICAD. I think that's his first air unit. Yes, it is. Scouts ahoy, off he goes. Small build up here of units for Eddie. Commander is up front, popping down another factory here. Consider, there we go, got another factory over this location. So he's getting some production on the way, but when we talk about production, let's have a look at Fleisch. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 land factories popping out those units. He's getting up some energy storage, so we may see an upgrade on the commander coming soon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 land factories for Fargo, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 land factories planned out for NICAD, though they're all back at his base, so it will take a while for reinforcements to trickle towards the front. And he's building up for an upgrade as well by the look of it. Just waiting for Eco to get up a wee bit, I'm sure we'll see that kick off. Alright, down here we have just the 3, 4, 5 factories for Eddie. So all around, the ground production is pretty steady for both teams. It should be interesting, but these bombers are going to have a grand old time. Units in a nice line, all thinking they're all spread out and safe, but some spread action from the bombers also do spread get a whole bunch of units at once, and all these guys are heavily damaged. If that bomber comes back for another pass, it will be doomed. However, instead it changes tack, goes for the mass extractor over here, and there's no... oh, there we go. It says any anti-air to slow that thing down, and the answer is yes. There's one here, and there we go. Does not get a second run off, and all this is going to survive. Would have killed a whole bunch of engineers with that run, but no one did not know what was going on. But having said that, we have another bomber inbound, and if it has targeted those engineers, they're in for a very, very bad time. Here we go. Bombs ahoy, and not only does it pick up all the engineers, but also bags a bunch of other units. 9 kills with 1 bomb. That is ridiculous. That was 5 engineers and 4 combat units with the 1 pass, and then a return pass kills off all the mass. So nothing to reclaim there for NICAD. Has got some anti-air on the ground now, and that will pick off that bomber, but more bombs away. Went for the commander, oddly, didn't focus down on units, but turned out to be the right choice just because it had things there. We have a gun upgrade halfway done for Fleisch. That's going to make his command up front a very tricky thing to deal with. Meantime, down here we see Eddie does not have any kind of upgrade on his commander. He's working on some point defense, which will do no good against a gun upgraded comm, and without walls it's going to do very poorly against T1 spam. And even with walls have problems with artillery, but without walls it's just going to die very quickly. Alright, we have some units up this way from NICAD, but they're stopped in range of a couple of T1 RC. Not the best place to do it. No upgrades on Fargo's commander either, and no upgrades yet on NICAD. Seems to be waiting for something I don't know what. Rush coming to clear, but Here we go, gun upgrade is done for Flash. His commander is now something to be concerned about up front, because I would say Addy has problems both with the unit count as well. I think Flash might have more, and that is going to be an issue for him, and command comes in going to be extra problems. There we go. So Nightcat has started on T2 upgrade, got a bunch of engineers there on the assist trying to get that done as quick as possible. But just a note on that, it doesn't matter how many engineers you've got. If you haven't got the income to do it, it ain't going to happen any faster. Anyway, there we go. These units have made it on past, and they are going to just keep on waltzing on through. No reason to stop for them. They might as well just go straight to the base, and Addy would do pretty good if they were watching to switch out to some T1 PD. Might as well grab those engineers, step down point defense, and that should help. It's popping us some units now, just to try and slow things down. He's got a T2 factory which he will not want to lose by any stretch of the imagination, but that's a lot of units trundling on in, and there's not much on the ground to stop them. Aero dear engineers are getting slaughtered, and idle T2 factory is not what you want. You want this to be doing things. Get building T1 units right now. Just spit them out. It will do them pretty damn fast, and it will help clean things up. But extra push up the front here. Fleisch has moved on with a second army and his gun comp, of course, which cleans up more stuff over here, and this is a problem for Nightcat. Well, like I said, he does have a T2 factory, which is not being focused right now. It appears that Fleisch is going for, oh, there we go, got some T1 bombers out as well, having to go to factory, because hey, why not? They just can. But I think they're going for the wrong thing. They've been going for power. Actually, maybe that's a good idea. If he can power lock his opponent, he's going to have all sorts of problems. And more units are coming off the conveyor belt, but there we go. So we went for a T2 Rhino. By the time the Rhino got off the belt, these things are mostly dead, and the commander's back in range. If we had to start spamming out T1 units, they would move out a lot quicker. And now we have extra problems. Army pushing down through that little gap, and his base is still under threat from even more. Commander switched up to a T1 PD, but has changed his mind on that front, is now going to assist the factory. Wants to get units out as much as possible, but still needs to clear his base. Got a couple of mantis down here which could go for a wander. Yes, some anti-air, which is going to be very handy for shooting down bombers. He's going to need it, because they are going for his T2 HQ. Last thing he needs to lose, and more damage up this way. We see more mass extractors going down. There are some units, but that is a huge problem. However, while we look at the push happening down on Addy, we can flip to the other side. Open dog. Screw you, Judah. Fuck you. Over this side, we see that Nightcat has been doing pretty good on his own. He's got his own push going on up this way. He managed to sneak through, going to be able to kill off some eco and some units. And so, even as Addy is having issues, so is Fargo. So, however, looking at it, Fargo is much better positioned to keep things under wraps, and he's actually got T2 air as well, so he can actually cause some issues with that if he decides to start building anything slightly nastier. But it is T1 spam all day from Fleisch, and he's building up a nasty amount of units, and he's got these ones pushing over, so he's now threatening Nightcat as well, though Nightcat is responding with units of his own. He's getting a few over this way. Just wants to try and slow these down a bit before he loses too much in the way we go. Up here is done. He's got some interceptors landing in a terrible location. They just want to say hi, but they don't get to do that. They get obliterated. Right, tanks down here, they're all heavily damaged, so it's going to be pretty easy for the rest of these guys to tidy up. And now it is a case of, what are you going to do, Addy? And I'm going to be honest, I'm surprised that Fleisch left these units back so long, because it has given Addy a chance to regroup some. He's now got some T2 on the ground, got a couple of rhinos, he's got a point of defense here, and that's going to be a huge help for taking out these tanks as well. The rhinos will be able to take a bunch of damage. The T1 PD will open up and start murdering things, and the commander is in residence as well, so that shouldn't be too much of a problem. Got another rhino over here as well. I might as well move that over. No point at sitting back there. This T1 PD is having the time of his life, not getting looked at all from these units. Now there's two of them, and there's actually a couple of mantis still loitering back here just to clean up anything that gets all the way through. And that's going to be, oh, they're going straight to the back. Nothing back here to slow down these tanks except for a stray engineer who is not going to try it. T1 bomber comes up from Nightcad, that's going to help clean things out, and does indeed. Kills off a couple of tanks, one more to go, they'll be fine there. Hello, tech launcher. So T2 for Nightcad, and he's got a gun as well, and now he's got a tech launcher doing things. It's already got 3 kills, so that would suggest, yes, mass extractor, and is that going to be another mass extractor? This is a T2 mix going down for Fargo, and that's a good play from Nightcad, although now this position is under threat. There are more tanks coming on in, and he can launch one more missile away. It is loaded. Send it while you can before this dies. These units are going to be able to clump it out. Use it before you lose it. Having said that, he's got a bunch of units of his own and his commander, but really I don't understand why they're not focusing that down. 8 kills in that thing now. It has destroyed nearly 3,000 mass. Good investment, but it is under fire. Launch it. Launch it. Over the side we see this is actually Fleisch pushing all the way into Eddie's base. Eddie has T2 point defense down now though, and he's popping up some more Cerberus turrets, and that could be a cue for Fleisch to consider moving away, especially when he wanders into range of T1 PD. He's going to take a whomping of damage from those, and kind in the region as well, so that should be alright for now. Eddie should be able to hold that, and the tech launcher survives. It is being repaired, though up on the hill there is a T1 RD that is going to be able to murder that down unless it's getting constantly repaired. And is there any? Yes, there is. There's a counter over here that takes out that artillery, and it's all well and good. Start launching again. You've got 3 missiles. 3 missiles ready to go, and no TMD. I can see a beautiful target would be considered that right there. Kill off the HQ before anything comes out, and hello down here. That was Zaddy getting killed off by Fleisch, chasing a bit too far with his commander. Felt like he was out of options and had to do that just to get things going, because almost had Fleisch. Fleisch was down at the rear under 3,000, has renewed up quite happily. But that is Addy out of the game. His basic course being a 2v2 ladder game does transfer over to Nightcad. So Nightcad gets a bit of extra eco, and now he can actually start producing. He's got T2 here, and there is a T2 queue up. In fact, he's adding to it. I just saw extra go on, and now he's pushing with his comm. So T2 gun comm pushing on up. The X launcher is having to go again, and it's killed off even more things. Murdered these 4 mass extractors up here. We'll say we weren't anything to worry about. T2 mix rebuild here. That would be a great target if he knew it existed. If he'd scouted, he'd know it had been rebuilt, and that would be a prime target, because we'll kill a bunch of engineers around it as well. But could have seen a bunch of missiles at the T2 factory, and that would have been a good pick at that point. But it looks like he did kill off the T2 air HQ, so worried about that, and fair enough. This is Nightcad is fine. Maybe he wants to shoot the units instead of the commander, which he does with an overcharge, but he has guns, so Fargo cannot commit to this push, and he should not commit to this push. He's going to start losing health rapidly. He has no units in support, and Nightcad has a whole bunch of units on the way. So if Fargo carries on, he's going to find himself in a lot of pain very, very shortly. In fact, he thinks this is a good point, and decides to turn around and start walking way down into the red. He is. Up here we can see units were grabbed by Nightcad, and they are heading over to support. Bit of intercept going on there from a bunch of ground units. And speaking of ground, T1 PD, we're going to have a good time, except for the fact they're playing our favourite game, which is fuck the ground. Shoot the ground, kill the ground, do no damage. And Fargo's actually in a wee bit of trouble here. He's got some T1 bombers having a go at him, and there's not much in the way of interceptors around to slow those down, or even T1 AA on the ground. So they're actually having free reign, and he's going to have issues. That's now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bombers, and I think we're going to see Fargo be the next injection at this race. He is down under 1500 health. The bombs are still around. Still no interceptors. There we go. A couple come off the conveyor belt, but I think it's too little too late. More bombs come in, and that is Fargo Going to take in a bunch of units as well. Go is out of the game as well, and now it goes to a 1 versus 1 Flash versus Nightcat. Let's see how these guys are going to go get on. We can see a good push coming up the left from Nightcat, even as there's a bunch of units ready to push down on the right from Flash. So the map is kind of even across the diagonal way. These TAC missiles launching over and they're hitting the wrong things. T2PD going down. Get a scout over, please. See what you're launching at. Need to send, there we go. You need one more missile to kill that off. One more missile, which he's got, but he's not using. I think maybe he sent 2 missiles at the HQ, but has not realized the first one impacted on this factory here, so the HQ survives. Definitely doesn't want that. Okay, here comes the push from Flash, and this is a bunch of T2. There's a bunch of T2 mix in here. I see a number of pillars, and they're going to help really thin out those numbers, but they won't get too far. There are some defending units pushing them back, and of course we do have the point defense up here in case they try to come this way. They will get absolutely robbed by those, as long as it's not trying to shoot the ground. Shoot the ground. Yes, indeedy. Okay, I had no idea that this is all still up. And now there is TMD, so tactical missile defense going up for Flash, and that is going to help keep everything else alive from those irritating TAC launches. But all of Flash's units are streaming down the right hand side. He's building up quite a sizable army over here. He's got a bunch of T2 and T1 all mixed in. He's got parachutes, he's got flak, he's got pillars, and he's got the gun comm as well, of course, so that is actually a nasty group to deal with. And facing off against it is basically T1. Seeing any, oh, there we go. Completely blind. There is a couple of rhinos in the mix, but they're not going to get a huge amount done. Alright, small band of units staging up over here as well from these 2 factories up. Might as well go clean those. There is some PD in this basic course, and some flak has gone up as well, so a couple of Cerberus turrets, a few T1 PD should be able to help if all this pushes down, which looks like it finally is on the move. A random Lobo out of nowhere gets a little bit too close to these forces and gets itself turned into a pile of mush. But now these guys are moving down and hey, back to the ground. Getting nothing done with these point defense. They were very poorly placed, although finally might actually get some nope, take that back. Shots didn't do a thing. Alright, we have a mobile missile launcher. The Cerberus turrets are opening up, mobile missile launcher firing some shots over, the shields are down, and now these things are roaming into T1 PD range, and that is the health on the pillars just melting off as those get up. They have a huge amount of DPS, and in fact this looks like an the push was good. It got all the way into range of the base, but I don't know if he has primaried the correct things. Looks like maybe he just moved in without really targeting anything, and they are wasting all their time shooting the point defense instead of the economy. Could have killed off a couple of T2 massive tractors, could have killed off some power, but instead it all survives and they end up killing one solitary Cerberus turret and a bunch of units. So I think that was a wasted push. Up here though, we see units have come up onto the plateau from Nightcat. There's a single rhino here being supported by a bunch of tanks, some anti-air. We're going to see engineers die off. We're going to see T1 artillery die off. Maybe we'll see some massive tractors go as well. There is a Lobo rolled up, but probably a little bit too late because yeah, added the rhino, and that is everything gone from there once again. Okay, counter push. Nightcat is moving back up on the right. He feels like he's got enough units to just try and evict Flash from this location, and once the shield is down and those pillars start taking damage, they will have an issue. Although having said that, Flash still has his commander in the region, and he's wanting to help control this push using his comm. He has plenty of units, but they are clumped together, and tell you what, T1 RD loves clumped units. Nice splash area of effects. Those shells will come over and they will absolutely obliterate things that are sitting still. So you really don't want to do that. Although a Viper up front of your push A strange decision, but a decision that has been made. Some T1 bombers come over. There's flak sitting over here that will turn those, get those out of the sky pretty down quickly, but no shields for the commander now. The mobile shield, parashield is gone, and he looks like Flash holds that spot. But the same thing opposite can be set up here. Flash has not held this spot, and there are now units wandering on through. Tech missiles going out but getting nowhere because of TMD. There we go, single shot going down. You might as well control K that or find another target for it. Maybe over there, maybe you can send it over this way. What is the range of that thing? Alright, so we could kill off a mass extract there. He should scout that and see that there's units and a factory there, and he can go kill that. But as for this, I don't believe he's going to get any more success. Kill up the front here. And be in range of those TMD. Yes, indeed. So no T2 HQ kill for you. Right, T1 units have turned up here to try and stem this flow along with a pillar, and that should be more than enough to clean up these units of NICADs. Down here though, we see more push going on, so butting heads on the other side of the map. And Flash's comm being there is a huge advantage. Gun comm with overcharge means units are going to die on their front and center from that thing. Getting supported by units as well means he'll be having a grand old time. Down here we have had turrets repaired, point defense repaired. We have more power going up as well. I think maybe we would want a little bit more point defense. Just curious what the range is on that. Not too bad actually. If we put another couple there, it would get good target on anything trying to come through that little gap. Hold things out. We see another T1 bomber rush coming down, and because they're targeting the commander, anything near the commander also gets a bunch of napalm to the face. There is flak in there somewhere. It is surviving, and it's going to kill off all those T1 bombers because flak is very good at that. Want to prioritize killing flak because that will keep the bombers alive a lot longer. And if flak does finally die, and there's still some bombs in the air. So there we go, T1 bombers are harassing Flash. There's a 4-star combo with a decent amount of regen, but we throw the T1 bombers in with the ground units, and he wants to be careful. Still persisting with the tech launcher that now has nothing to target. Scouted that he might target over there, but he hasn't yet, so still doesn't know. Check what Flash has scouted, and he's missing a lot of information as well. He doesn't know anything about this or this. He's never scouted any of it. But the same can be said for NICAD. He's got no idea what he's facing on up there. So just want to rock it out there, folks. Just want to remind you that scouting is good. Intel is great. If you know what's happening, you can actually prepare for it. And there's a lot of T1 bombers going down on Flash. He's down under 5,000. These guys are having a grand old time, and he's down into the red. 3,600, 3,000, under 3,000, but some parashields, some flak, and interceptors turn up. None too soon. 2,000, under 2,500 health on Flash, and he has to run. He cannot keep that commander up front. Although, what's he doing? Moving back on up? That's a silly idea. I think that's a silly idea. If NICAD had T2 air, then Flash would be in serious trouble. As it is, he doesn't have T2 air, so Flash is going to live that a little bit longer. And balls to the wall is keeping his comm up front for the overcharge ability, just to keep a plug on this gap because he kind of has to. Speaking of pushes, we have had a huge army build up on the left hand side from Flash. They've just sort of been staging around, and there is a T1 radar from NICAD. But it doesn't see very far, so he's got zero idea any of this is around until this scout just happens to fly a little bit closer. And we're going to see some T1 bombers start moving over, but they're going to get intercepted by some flak. T1 bombers versus flak never ends well for the bombers. Either is having the time of his life, knocking these guys out of the sky. And there's extra flak back there. I'm sure I saw a second one. It was T1 AA anyway. And now NICAD should be well aware of the forces coming in. He just bombed them. But I think his focus may be over here, trying to chase down the fast retreating combo of Flash. He's moving his commander and all his units back. Does not want to get caught out there again with a bomber spam. Alright, what we got going on? Well, the radar might actually start picking up this group now. Yes, indeedy. See it all right there. And he's got another radar there. So move within radar range, and here comes the push, and there's a bunch of T1 PD being spammed up by a huge number of engineers. We're going to see if that's going to make a difference. Nycat up here trying to put down some T2 point defense, although that's going to be incredibly ineffective because the army is on the other side of the hill. Alright, the attack launcher has decided I don't like these targets, is killing them off because it can. There's no TMD there, and that's basically it. Right, T1 PD versus T2 Army. We know exactly how this is going to go. T2 Army is going to win because there's just simply not enough point defense to do that. No units at all, and we see Nycat is running his comm because absolutely has to. No way he can keep in the area and face up to all of that. Units are now under the shield. They can kill off the shield gen. That's going to expose things out. T1 PD is going to get massacred without any kind of walls, and we see the tech launcher. 32 kills on that thing, 7,000 mass killed, but its days are numbered. I feel the units just keep on going. They don't stop to really focus anything down. I suppose it's enough and they can just wander straight through and kill things off. There they are now. There we go. And see you later. T2 launcher, tech launcher, you've done yourself proud. Got a good number of kills. Point defense is trying its best, but no walls on those. This one is going to go down shortly. Decent amounts of damage done, and this army has completed the route of this particular section. What it has done is given a whole bunch of reclaim. Look at that. 8,500 reclaim-ish in just that area. Worth getting. Right, Triads having a grand old time. They are lobbing their shells with a slight arc, skimming the ground, and actually killing units. Off. And now things are coming to a bunch in the middle. This is T1 versus T2. Ilshivers are very good at killing those off, but I see Mongoose fire. Yeah, we go. Mongoose join the party, and that is going to really help things as far as Ilshivers are concerned. It's not good for them. Right, okay, throwing down some more T2 PD there. Okay, he survives that little bush, loses that forward base, but it has done its job with that tech launcher. It just delayed the eco. Speaking of eco, it's actually looking pretty even, though Team 2 are well ahead in the total mass, so there's been a reclaim going on for Nycat, and he is well in front when it comes to the mass side of things, though income is pretty even at the moment. Okay, we have a push on the right, ill-advised push on the right. I feel that is a massive army from Fleisch. Huge amount of T2 in there, plus the commander, so he can pick his overcharges and kill off T2 units. That will be very keen. You look at these units just streaming in little bit by little bit. That's not how you want to do it. You want to come in a nice big clump, and in fact you probably don't want to come in towards that at all without something a bit tougher. Right, speaking of tougher, huge number of Ilshivers coming down this way, but they have been picked up by T2 units, they have been picked up by T1 bombers. They are not long for this field, but let's check for anything else. Still T2 HQ there for Fleisch. We have T2 HQ UEF. Air is still T1, so just T1 air coming out. No upgrades on there. Let's have a gander at Nycat. We have T2 HQ, T2 HQ. So he has T2 and T3, sorry, T2 land and air available for him. And we have T2 land over here as well. So he should be able to populate T2 units. Working on Zico, and is this Fleisch? He's fine. Thought maybe he's going to start having issues, but his commander is chunky enough. He can survive a few bombers flying overhead, and they can watch them die to flak. All good. The commander's now pushing on up, get some overcharges in, and kill those runners off. And the rocket bot going to have a grand old time there. Units over here might have been able to come over and cause some concern for Fleisch, but we see there is a T2 units belonging to Fleisch accepting as well, and going to go down so difficultly. Right, but there's a push up this way, and there's a good plan. If you still had the tech launcher. T1 bombers onto the TMD, and then you can send some more tech missiles in, but of course that tech launcher is dead, so that's not going to happen. But that's okay, he says, Nightcat, I don't need tech launcher because I have units. And they're going to make a mess out of all these T2 mixes. That's just brutal. Oh great, there's some T1 PD going up here, but it is no match for Mongoose. They actually fire over the walls with both their Gatling fire and the mortars on the side, the grenade launchers on their backs. They will take that down pretty handily, but there are Ushwas coming in from Flash as well. They're going to get into a nice little scrap here. T2 PD has been slapped down in the base, but hey, fuck the ground. Am I right? Nobody likes the ground. Alright, we can see this push continuing, but not a wise push. There's more PD going up. The Mongoose are doing what they should be doing, which is sitting back at range and dealing damage. Do not push them in. That's not what Mongoose are good at. But it's still a sizable army. Get some T1. There we go. T2 PD now going down. One has been popped up here. A second one going on up, and that is going to be an issue for these guys to try and defend against. And they either need to push hard or fall back before they get wasted. And I think it's going to be the sit there and do nothing option whilst they get outranged by T2PD. And Ushivas. Mongoose comes a little bit close to the front and gets turned into scrap. Second one's going to have another go at doing the same thing. There is a flapjack back here. There was a flapjack back here. Or do they wee bit too close to T2PD and just gets bolted down to nothing? Let's see, here's the push. Tanks versus Ushwas, and point defense never going to end well for these guys. It's just a massacre trying to wander into that. But that distraction has let extra forces push up this way, and I feel this is now under threat. Let's be honest here, it's not really any kind of defenses here at all. A couple of T1 bombers going to fling around and say g'day, and a giant massive interceptors for Nightcat, so he doesn't want to lose his bombers, or he's just been producing interceptors because he can. Either way, he now has a little bit more map control and a tiny bit more income after this push killed off these T2 mixes, but not a lot. See, each of these T2 mixes, they would have had, where's your income, plus 6 income, so that was still 24 eco. 24 mass income would have been added on there, but he has dumped on the doorstep approximately 10,000 mass. That can't be right. Okay, we take out that there. Okay, so maybe about 7,000 mass after we take out these, which are friendly rigs. But yeah, he killed the T2 mixers, but left so much mass to be reclaimed. That's the last thing you want to do. So it has been discussed that when you push in with an army, you want to make sure that you actually control the area you push into. Otherwise, you give the mass to your opponents and give them an advantage. We see T1 bombers coming on over, and they are just carpet bombing that poor point defense. Still some engineers alive though, and they've built up another one, and there is T2PD back here causing issues. And even as Nightcat's pushing, he is being pushed on the right hand side, though these guys coming in single file is a terrible idea. To a nice firing line, and one by one those tanks are coming in and they're getting turned into just reclaim basically. This is free reclaim. This is a mass donation. Coming in single file to a firing line, this is 100% a mass donation. They'll gradually get some damage done, but not enough to warrant going in like that. Up here though, we see, well, the units are actually skirting the base and perhaps going to go around the back here and try and get some damage done. Not a bad plan, as there are now Ushvas coming out to do some extra defenses. Wandering a little bit too close is a pillar, gets noticed and just got down into nothing as it goes on past. So now they're out of range, they can keep moving this way and start killing off some of that perhaps. But there we go. Finally some extra numbers turn up to maybe make things count, but T1 bombers are flying overhead as well. It's just too much going on. single file into well grouped units. Terrible, terrible idea. And if it wasn't for the fact that these guys were actually shooting the mass as well, because they were coming in, this would be a massive, massive donation. As it is, it's not great, and it's a complete waste of units from Flash. If we group them up properly and come in a big clump, would have done so much better. But speaking of wasting units, say hello to Nikehead up here. He's throwing units in at a base, running into point defense for no real reason. Maybe they're trying to come up here and join these guys, but it's a foolish move. Stay away. Too late for T1. Yes, it is. Although having said that, T1 can be distracting for single shot high power units, except Ilshivers are pretty much the exact opposite of that. They are rapid fire. Very good at killing off T1 units, so we know T1 coming out from Nikehead, and really, I agree, the T1 game is over. Stop it, and that actually looks like a T3 shift. Yes, it is, so that is 85% of the way towards T3 for Flash. Do we have a comparable? Well, we already have T3 actually. T3 is already up with Nikehead, and he's working on a Percival. Do I hear one already? Yes, I do. He's already got T3. Actually, he's got bricks out, so he's got T3 Cybrid and T3 UEF. That's a nice little mix there. He can have Titans kill the smaller units. Actually, he doesn't even need Titans. He can just spam bricks and Percies, and that is a dangerous mix to try and deal with. You've got the Percies, which have great range, great alpha firepower to kill the tougher units, and you've got bricks in there too, with their rapid fire to take care of the smaller units. Bricks and Percies together. A nasty combination. But let's have a look at the eco, and you can see that Flash is now ahead. So he's rebuilt all of this. He's got his T2 mixes back, and he's working on the reclaim. Wonder if he's upgrading. He's not capping these mass extractors. This is confusing me. He's capped these ones, he's not capping other ones, and he's getting T3 on the way up here. I would be thinking about capping first. Cap your mixes, then go T3. This has been proven by people who are better at this game than me to be the most efficient way to increase your mass income. Cap your get your mixes, upgrade to T2, cap mixes, then upgrade to T3. Maybe he's worried about losing these, I don't know, but at least he has capped this one before upgrading. He's got a couple more to go. Got T2 mass all around the place, but that is going to be close. So far it's working. 96 to 130, so let's just have a check here. So Nikehead has a 10 handful, so 10 T1 mixes, 8 2, but so has 3 T2 down here. Okay, so 10 and 11. He's got 10 and 11. Compare that to 9, 15, or I don't think he's got any T1. 15 and 4 plus T3 there. So I think they have around about the same number of mixes under control, but Flash has been upgrading them much more rapidly, and he is well ahead in the eco stage of this game. It is T3 time though, and T3. But okay, so we see Titans offline and Percival's scheduled. Not going T3 over here, just sticking with T2 land, and why not? Ilshivers are still decent. They can take a single Percy shot and survive. In fact, they might be able to take 2. I can't remember how much Percival does, but they will assist in numbers by just tidying up all sorts of things and being a bit of a damage soak. Definitely the strongest T2 unit, on what people are saying. Alright, down here we see some T3. There we go, bricks, Percivals, Titans. Oh, swarm of T2 and a few T1 units dotted around. Don't need the T1 anymore. Looks like he's agreed. That is T2 land factory. That's T2 land on the way towards T3. So Nightcat is definitely switching over the T3 phase. He's got T3, T3, two T3 land factories there. T2 land factory popping out, and these are all T2 as well. He desperately needs to get this kind of thing going on though. Get your mixers capped, get your mixers upgraded, and T3 air as well. So he can slap out ASFs if he wants, but he's going to need that power first. Otherwise he's going to have a massive drain on there. Let's just have a look. Not stalling on power yet, but he's not started on an ASF yet. Although having said that, there is no assistance on there, so it shouldn't be too bad. Yep, that's new. Go figure. Not heard that before. I have no idea what that was. Excuse the sniffles. Righty. Get on with it. A small push going up this way, or it's just a reclaim mission for some engineers, getting a bit of support behind them. That's Black having to go with a scout. Scout needs to scout everything. If he gets that over there and sees everything that's going on, he might have a idea. This is intel. I'm seeing some radar. There we go. So there's some T2 radar there. There's a T1 radar there. Is there anything else? Not certain. But honestly, go try and pop up that stadium facility. Get some lots of T1 air. Going this way. So we have had a T2 air shift, and that's a T3 along the way for Flash, so he's moving to T3 air as well. These are both sticking on the T1 scope of things, and still just T2 on the land. So yeah, like I said, these guys have just been focusing on a wee bit of eco and tech upgrading right now. Neither of them willing to push, just holding on to some units, holding on to some ground, and just working on that. But Flash has been doing it a lot better. He has really focused down on the eco. The assistance of scooping all the mass that was donated up here from the units. In fact, there's still a whole bunch here he can grab. It's another 7,000 sitting here just waiting to be scooped up by engineers. They do that, and if we expand out, grab this up there as well. Close to 9,000, almost 10. I hear gunfire. PD! I happily shoot the ground because fuck the ground. See the very slow missile launches going. A couple of mobile missile launches lobbing their shells on over. Not going to get a lot done. There's a single TMD here which will slow that down, and some more TMD going up, so they're going to be completely useless. But they have caused a panic spend on mass for tech missile defense. I think that's a distraction, because up this way we have the T3 on the way, and this is basically T2. Yes, Elshivers, yes, is strong, but that's still T2, and looks like these are mostly Titans. There's a Percival over there. Some T1 bombers out. They're going to ruin the day of these flapjacks, but T1 bombers will go down. A couple of ASFs and some interceptors here are going to say good day to them. Right hand side, hello. We can see that Nightcat's pushing up on the right. He's popped out some Corsairs. I'm not going to get much done, unfortunately, because of the flak that has been edge built, but some T2PD is not going to slow down Titans. These Triads are going to have a terrible time of it. These Engineers are going to have a worse time of it. They're going to get munched on down, and these Titans are just the vanguard pushing on up. The main force is yet to come, including a couple of bricks, a Percival, and a swarm of T2. Once this Triad goes down, there's nothing on the ground here. Really just slow this lot down, and they can have a grand old time just pushing on through. This group has stopped a little bit short, and I mean a little bit short, just short enough that they're getting tickled down by some mobile missile launchers. Shields that having an issue. There we go. So the push has been spotted. Titans have been dispatched to intercept, while the Percivals have been sent to guard up this way. Good plan. Titans are fast enough to catch. The Percivals won't be, so get the Percivals in the way. And there we go. There is the push up the top, and an awful idea. Running into all of this with Titans. Look at just the amount of fire coming off those Ilshivers is a grand amount. really, if you had Percivals and Mongoose, they could sit at range and just whittle them all down. But everything up here has been killed. No point banks left, no mass extractors left. That is 1, 2, 3, 4. Has helped drop Flash's eco a little bit, but not enough. He's still well ahead on that front. And now we can see what a brick does to Titans. Let's do bad things. Throw in a couple of Percival shots and Titans have a terrible day of it. Nothing doing there. But same thing over here, nothing doing up this side. The attack has been repulsed. Too much in there to stop them. Counter push coming down the middle, but this is basically all T1 by the look of it. That is a whole host of T1 units. Going to have a grand old time giving some veterancy to these bricks, and actually having the best day of his life. T1 units pushing him that he can run away from and just kite and kill. Grand old times. Bricks also. And it's not great. Not great for T1. I think it was T2 pillar. Was a pillar. Not anymore. Right, here comes push up here and a bunch of trades safe and spanned up. Percivals are standing in the way, slowing things down. The Titans having not great success against the Percivals. The brick will fare better with support. And a second brick coming on them, but they are standing again in the range of triads. One more Percival, one Titan running away. But the Triads are going to get work done. They've had plenty of time to do some damage. Not going to stop this force though. There's enough of them. They can keep walking straight on in, which they darn well should. There's nothing to slow these guys down right now, except the occasional unit being produced off the assembly line here. Get a move on. Get a job on. Up here, this tier 1 push, I think it was just to buy time really to finish up the walls. It has had to fall back in the face of basically everything. Up here though, the attack attempt from Nykad has gone awry. He's run out of T3 units, and now the counter push out from the base sees Ilshvers just demolish all of that, though there is a Percival down here. If it gets a shot away onto an Ilshver, it does a huge amount of damage. There's just too many of them now. This push, what you're doing, focus something down. Go for the power, go for something, anything. T3 just about completed on there, and gunships, emergency gunships have come out for Flash to kill all these. Focus it down. Looks like he is trying to kill the T3 power. If he destroys that, he'll lose some units, but he will kill all of this. And that is a reasonable pick. Good amount of damage out of there, but I don't think it's bothered Flash too much. No, he's not stalling on power just yet. So he's actually holding firm. Alright. This push is on the way. We have some walls actually doing the job of walls though. Funneling units through this little spot, but not quite enough. They can just wander on around and keep moving. And now there's so much eco here, ready to die. More gunships coming out, and there's plenty of interceptors though. Nykad should be able to see those off if he's paying attention. But no, the gunships are starting to wail upon these ground units. And oh, that's a large ASF swarm from Fleisch. Has he actually... He has 20 ASF for Fleisch, and we see there are 2. Okay, that's not going to go down so well. And what Nykad, excuse me, what Nykad needs to do right now is flag. He's lost that air game, and while he builds up his ASF numbers, he's got no assistance on that factory whatsoever, whilst up here we have a massive amount of assistance going on there. So he needs flag. T2 gunships, yes, they will take time to kill things, but kill things they will, and really, flak is the best thing for them. Especially when they group up like this. Nice bunches. Flak has good AoE, will damage a whole swath of them. Watch this guy back here. See up this way a little bit further, he'd be having the time of his life. Killing clumps. Gunships. But nope, sitting back here, just chilling. Trying to take down ASFs, which, well, I can probably do some damage. It's not going to get them down. For a while. These units have managed to push right on up again, and what are they going for? I think they've just been moved in without a particular target. He's trying to see what they can get, but look at the amount of gunships. Holy mother monkey milk. 26 gunships. which Flash is going to need because Nycat has finished a monkey. There is a monkey on the field, and there we go, some flak has been thrown up to defend that in the base. How much does Flash know? Flash doesn't have radar either. This feels so weird to me. No radar, not able to see the map. I would be like awkwardly worried. Both of them should be able to have Omni. They have T3 power. It's available, they've got plenty of power. And Omni of course would allow them just to see damn well everything, be able to respond to attacks that come from both sides. But without Omni, without a... Yeah, at least Nycat has T2 up there so we can see this coming in. Flash doesn't. Or if he's got radar. He's got radar somewhere, I just don't know where it is, can't see it. I think maybe his teammate built it before he died. Anyhow, more and more gunships coming off the assembly line. He is now up to 44 T2 gunships, and they will rinse all sorts of things they come across. But does he know there's a monkey? Radar, no scouting, he may not know, and he may send them in. There's a few T2 ID down here which are going to feel the wrath of gunships. Gunships landing on the ground is not a great plan. Yet obliterated. So you can see here too many ASFs, and yeah, Nycat should absolutely get AA onto the ground. Rat bomber, well, some exposed units here can damage. You get him a drop up here, kill a whole bunch of build power. You know, a few strats, you could murder all of this at once. That would be a grand idea, but just have a look at the health. So many gunships. Sorry, it's just the ball. Good times. Gunship frenzy. Also land. Ah, almost. And where are they going for next? Well, there's some T1 anti-air over here. That would take a long time to get through all of this. Just focusing down the mass extractors. Look at all of that. And for a moment, Nycat had caught up in the eco situation, but with the introduction of these gunships to the mass, he's fallen behind once again. This is going to be brutal though. There is flak, and look at the gunships just fall out of the sky. So much flak, the gunship's just gone. It was like 50 gunships a moment ago, but look at this. 8, 9 flak. That's a couple over here, and yeah, can you say reclaim? He's just dropped 9k mass in gunships on his opponent's base because, hey, wow. Scratch the monkey a little bit. So, flak is incredibly effective against T2 gunships. Incredibly effective. So you want to not bounces. Not bounces. Oh dear. This could be a mistake. You know your opponent has... Unless he's going to mix flak in... Nope, more bounces. More bounces. I believe this is a mistake. Put monkey. And... don't think the bounces actually have AoE. So they believe they have a slower rate of fire. I think they have slow missiles. Like Cybran AA is some of the slowest moving projectile speed. So it's going to take them long to actually hit the gunships, and they're going to be killing them one at a time. Whereas the flak, as you just saw, murdered them all at once. Excuse the sniffles once again. Feeling a wee bit under the weather today, folks, so I do apologise for extra sniffles coming out. See, that flak had like 12 kills. Just because it could, and that was just one of them. But it's absolutely flak he should be having. If it's T2 gunships, flak. All day, every day, flak. What happens if it gets too close to these? Look at them all group up. Look at them all get so much damage done. They were all green. They were all green and a couple yellow before they moved in down here. And that one flak, which did die eventually, has done all that damage, and now they're just like a sneeze away from dying. Yeah, that's what I thought. Lightning tank has the AoE, but so yeah, 100% they're wanting flak for gunships. Fortunately, they're very damaged, so the T1 AA might actually stand a chance to take down a bunch of their numbers thanks to that flak from before. And he is trying to focus down the AA, but there's enough of it sticking around that they are dropping out of the sky. Again, huge thanks to that one flak unit up here. Didn't get many kills, but did all the damage to shoo them away. So T3 AA, T3 mobile AA, great for strap bombers. Also great for clumps of gunships, which is exactly what Fleisch has. Just have a look at those. They built up another 33. Nothing but gunships coming out of that factory. Nothing but ASFs out of there, so he's committing to the air game. And honestly, the air game's going to win him. The air game is going to win him because NICAD has chosen the wrong ground unit. Yes, there's some ground forces coming over this way. They're all T2. Is NICAD aware of them? Well, I hope he is. Well, he hasn't got radar, so no, he's got no idea that this base is about to get absolutely, utterly, and horribly smashed. There's no other way to say it. It's going to get brutalized. And Monkey turns up over this way. At this point, Fleisch goes, "Oh, Monkey, right, gunships." And gunships ahoy. So here we go. Bouncers do great work against the ASFs because their missiles take a little bit to speed up, but they do track and they do damage, but they are going to be horrible at trying to defend against these. Killing them one by one. Honestly, half a dozen flak would have demolished all of this far better than the bouncers ever could. Monkey's gonna die because it does not have flak. Okay, Monkey dead. Bouncers are next, and wow, get flak. But meantime, the push down the left hand side, and this is not looking great for NICAD. Even on the ground, what does he have to slow this? There we go, here's his flak. In the wrong place. A feed kept flak with that monkey, and it had survived. It could have pushed all the way in because there wasn't much. Well, I haven't said that. He has spammed up a few ravages. That could have been a problem. But now, what's he got down here? He's been putting up more flak. There's flak in his base, but flak's not a problem right now. Does he have radar to see all that somewhere? That T1 radar, as soon as that's dead though, it's going to be a nothing doing. Bishop is chasing flak. Bishop is going to shoot the radar down, and is he going to lose signatures? Nope, he's got another radar somewhere else. So it doesn't reach that far. That's another one back there. There it is. But this is a problem. The ASP will be trying to finish the T3 power. I don't know why. His power is not that bad. Not the positives there. But unless he gets a huge amount of point defense down, he's going to be struggling. What is he spinning his mess on? Everything except what he needs to. Doing his job with seeing air just drop out of the sky as it flies on overhead. There are some interceptors and ASF helping out as well, but this is just T1 and T's pretty much a scouting job. And at this stage, Fleisch goes, "Oh, we have no point defense. I know what, I'm going to send my army in." And in the army comes. There's like a single triad down here, which is going to start firing away, and maybe you can do some stuff. There's a couple of Titans. They're not going to last very long against all of this stuff. So Percy's strolling his way out very bravely, very foolishly. It is about to die a horrible death, and let's look at everything go. Even the bouncers are having to go at the ground units, but they have very paltry ground DPS. And this is going to be the demolishment of NICAD's main base, with all of his T3, all of his power. And we see the gunship have turned up yet again. They are facing off a large number of T1 AA, but that's going to take a long time to get them down. They're going to be plenty of time for them to murder all sorts of stuff. And down here we can see, oh dear, It is just brutalization. Focus down T2 power, why not? T3 power right here, have a go. Kill T3 HQ. Anything, just focus his units, please. Make a choice. They could have done so much better with a little bit of micro, a little bit of target priority. Although now they had going for the commander, I think. The move order has been given and they are looking to surround him. Yes, they are, so as we pretty sure could access to overcharge. Double check that. Yes, he does. But overcharge or not, that's a lot of worshippers, and as soon as they focus down the commander, his health is just going to dissipate. Any moment now the commander will be given, and we'll see the com start shedding health like it's going out of fashion. There we go. So many worshippers, one solitary. It depends, trying his best, but that is most likely going to be the end, because in comes some gunships as well, why not? Although they do get taken down, 1200, 1000, and see you later, Nugget. Quite an enjoyable 2v2 ladder game.